All right. Filming in the gym.
So this is a kind of a hot button topic for people, and people make their entire platforms out of pointing this kind of shit out, right? Like about filming in the gym. And filming in public, just kind of period. You know,
Yep.
There's this whole thing about people claiming it as their constitutional right. So there are people who argue that it's their right to film in public, and there are people who argue that is their right to not be filmed. That's as arguable as that is or isn't, and the prevailing assumption that you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy out in public. That notwithstanding, talking about filming in the gym specifically, there are some really great things that you can get out of filming in the gym.
100%.
There are some not great things that happen as a result of it sometimes. There are a couple of key points to argue that incite a lot of, I don't know, division in whatever community whenever the subject comes up. So we wanted to take a few minutes today to just talk about some of those things or expose some new possibilities to people who either have a problem with being recorded or people who base their platform off of recording. And well, not just their platform, but like it's an integral, maybe it's not just your platform, maybe it's an integral part of your training. John, I was hoping that you would talk a little bit about that first part. Let's say that you're filming it. Let's remove the influencer or social media aspect of it and just talk specifically about how it's a tool in training.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's a couple different angles we will talk about, I guess, is, one is how I've kind of utilized it personally, right, as an individual, and also how I use it as a coach. And they go kind of hand in hand for me, the way I approach it. As much as we talk about being mindful and feeling out your body and knowing where you are in space, and you growing awareness and your proprioceptions, right? We lack as an individual that third eye perspective, right? That being able to see yourself in space, moving around in the world.
That third person perspective.
Third person, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Third eye took that in a whole different direction.
Yes, that's it. That is correct. Let's get that clean.
If your ears perked up, different podcast. That's a different podcast. Go ahead.
Your third person perspective, or again, just that perspective outside of yourself. As a coach, if anybody out there is a coach and they've worked with clients one-on-one, this firsthand, because that's kind of your job, right? Is to cue and correct when movement takes on compensations, or clients start creating their own exercises, so to speak, or start doing a different exercise than what was asked of, right? And
like when the adaptations come into play, that kind of stuff.
All of that. One of my favorites is I have one client, I'll be like, yeah, we're doing deadlifts today. And next thing I know, he is doing beautiful squats. So again, it's just getting things in the right, getting things together, so to speak. So as like for myself, I will set up a camera from different perspectives. So at the gym I used to work out at often, there was a big mirror in front of me. Mm-hmm. It was far away, but it was still in front of me. So therefore I could still I could see myself front if I was tilting one way, or if one of my knees was doing something kind of funky, but I couldn't ever see myself from the side or even from behind. And so I would set up a camera, my cell phone, right? Set it up somewhere to be able to obtain that video, to where I could see myself in motion, kind of in that live action, so to speak. And those, I think, is one of the bigger advantages we can utilize when I'm working with clients. I do sometimes do it candidly. I sometimes don't let them know. Purely,
you always revealed it to them later. Yeah,
exactly. Purely for the fact of, it's the age old question: is the refrigerator light on when the door's closed? Meaning, when someone's knows they're being videotaped, they will behave maybe a little bit differently, or they may try to move a little bit differently when I'm trying to get a very candid view of how they move, especially if I'm trying to address a compensation that we've been discussing maybe through cues and it's just not clicking, or I'm not be able to properly relay what I'm seeing to them, or however that communication breakdown is occurring, giving them a
Right.
visual
Great metric.
representation.
Yeah.
So that way now they see like the tangible with the verbal cues, and it helps again be able to discuss what we're trying to get to. I delete it. It doesn't become my viral video to send me rocketing to the moon, so to speak. So those are the main ways that I use it. Now, again, I have another client that I like to work with, and I only meet with him about once a month or so, and I keep harping him about like, hey man, let's get a couple of videos of your squat if you're having concerns about doing it right, and that way we can look at it and we can review it. And unfortunately, right, he's a little nervous, or he doesn't like seeing himself in video and things of that nature. So he kind of refuses or doesn't do it, and that is what it is, and we do what we can around that. But it's a big piece of information that we're now having to almost talk abstractly about sometimes, right?
When I'm working with a client, I will often film them. I will always let them know I'm filming them ahead of time.
Right.
No, seriously. I will often film a client and then using a before and after. For instance, if I have them commit to a certain movement, if they are experiencing some kind of limitation, and I have them demonstrate the movement on a side or in a position that is unlimited or not restricted, and then I have them go to the restricted side and demonstrate it there, I will then be able to show the client using those video clips how those ranges were different.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use all manner of things with regard or in relation to the video. You say look at this edge of the screen and see how this shoulder or this hip or this knee or whatever
Various
tends
reference
forward,
points,
or
would you say?
yeah, various grids and reference points, using the screen as a metric or as a mode of comparison. And it makes things much easier for the client to be able to, like you said, to pull it out of some kind of abstract thing. Because after all, one of the things that I communicate to the client, because I have a lot of people are highly reluctant to film themselves. And one of the reasons why it's good is that through filming yourself, there are things that you are unaware of that are undeniable when you see it from a third person perspective. You can do this experiment right now, and here's an example of things that we will use this example in other episodes. But if you close your eyes and have your arms hanging down by your sides, and then keep your eyes closed, and then lift your arms up to an equal height out to the side of you. And let's just say that you're going to lift them up and palms facing down until the palms are level with your shoulders, extended away from you. Keep them frozen wherever they are, wherever your perception is that they are level, and then look at them. And you'll generally see that one is higher or lower than the other. Generally. Now, if it's something you pay attention to a lot, you might notice less of a discrepancy. If it's something you don't really take into consideration very often, you might notice that it is really, really different in the way that those things are presenting.
May I interrupt you for a moment?
Yeah, please do. Go ahead.
So you're reminding me of one of my earliest clients.
Okay.
I love this lady. She was fun. She was a real estate agent. And I'd been working with her for maybe about a half a year, and talking about posture and trying to help her she had a forward head issue. And so I was always cueing her to a chin tuck, and we were working on, various muscles to help open up the chest where she'd be able to pull the head back. And she was always just saying, yeah. You're just saying this to keep me on the hook, kind of. She never came out about it like that, but it always was like, shh. Yes, John. Good boy. Well, she was doing headshots, and she was all excited about her headshots. And then she comes to me and she goes, God damn it. I look like an old person. Like, just my head's all just.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know what to tell you, Miss Gabby.
When people do that, when I'm working with them, I'll say, stop doing chicken feed because they look like a chicken, right? Pop, like
I think the kids call that chicken heading now, but yes, that is a much PG bet version.
Yeah, that's the PG version. But the point being is that there are adaptations for our posture and balance and in our expressions of strength that are so ingrained, they are habitual. We are not aware of them. When you have a third person perspective, like a video, it doesn't care that you feel a certain way or that think, well, that looks like it's balanced. I can't tell you the number of times I'm working with someone and I say, okay, get this, so we're going to put this bar across your shoulders and we're going to, go into a squat or a forward bend or whatever. And I say, okay, could you do me a favor and pull this one shoulder down, pull this one hand down and lift this other one up. And they feel like one hand is level with their shoulder and then the other one must be up near their head. And I'll say, no, that's balanced. This is balanced. And I'll say, take a look at it. And when they look over at it, they're like, I cannot believe that. Or I'll take a picture of it and I'll show it to them.
Yep.
So there are these adaptations that we have that we really are not aware of. And that in and of itself is nothing bad and whatever. It's just that
it is what it is.
Or filming or getting a picture of yourself just demonstrates where some areas might exist that you weren't aware of before that. And that's where filming yourself is a fantastic tool. It is. If you can get over that. Now, I don't have, and John, I don't think that you have either, a sort of catchy phrase or cereal box psychology to get somebody over the judgment that we might feel when we're looking at at a video of ourselves. What I can say is that just keep in mind that those positions that we occupy in space and in time, when you see yourself, it is always like very similar to where the first time you heard your own voice, how you didn't like it and it didn't sound like anything you thought that you sounded like in your head. It's the same thing. It's how you are presenting in the world. And if you don't like it, I get it, but no one does.
Again, not that I have a cereal box deal about it, but in the event that it is an individual videotaping themselves or recording themselves, right? You are the master of that piece of media. It goes nowhere that you don't put it, so to speak. And that's one of the big things, right? Like, even back when I would do like kind of before and after pictures with clients early in the career, I would use their phone, right? Because I didn't have any benefit for their picture, right? Like, let's get your phone out and let's take a picture of you using your phone. Even I learned this from you, right? When teaching correctives, using the client's own phone to record themselves with it. So again, they have the media of them doing the exercise versus me with my mobility limitations versus their mobility limitations. Demonstrating.
Yeah, that is one I use quite often when I am cueing a corrective exercise. I will get the client's phone. If we're in person, I'll give them all of the cues on the recording so that way they have it to refer back to. The thing to always keep at the forefront, where if you're comparing how you look in some piece of media that you have recorded, even if it's not published, and you are comparing that to how your favorite fitness influencer looks with the stuff that they publish, if you've ever actually seen anybody who is an influencer recording anything, they follow the age-old rule of photography, which is, in photography, you take 1,000 pictures and you throw away 995 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Any person that is videoing anything that they're doing, if it's performative, like an exercise or piece of music or something else, No one shows you except on a blooper reel how many times or how often something looks fucked up, or how the camera captured their gut just right whenever they were performing some kind of movement. And there's all this judgment they heap on themselves and all that. And all they were doing was breathing. That's all they were
Right.
doing was just fucking breathing. And you have to keep that in mind, is that what you see is a highly polished, taken 1,000 times perspective until the most optimal one and the most optimal position was presentable.
The like, is it motor oil being used for maple syrup to sell pancakes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Or, and there's other little, again, if anybody's interested in, right, you can go Google, like, food pictures or whatever,
or food photography tricks
to sell this image. And it's not all influencer this way, that they're going to be like putting a false product out there, so to speak, to sell more. But at the end of the day, it's a business for a lot of these people, even for us. Like, we want to have the best product to put out there for the viewers and for those that are supporting us. We don't want to have just slop and garbage out there. So we're going to do what we can to make it acceptable. And again, if aesthetics is the game that one is playing with, right, they're going to do a lot of things to really push that aesthetics lever, whether it's getting the right type of lighting, or, if it's a long fast before the shoot, right, and all kinds of things. It was me and my wife were at the beach, and like the people were dicking with the sand to make it look like they've been playing in it. It had just been like or like raked or something. It was like they got in the sand, played with it, had their photo shoot, and then they left. And it was like, now, come on now. Y'all could have at least really played in the sand for a while and enjoyed this wonderful Mexican beach. But
right.
But I get it, right?
That brings up an important aspect, which is that you have to remember that filming angles for review are different than filming angles for presentation. When you see somebody who has put a video up online and said, oh, did my squats today, or did my whatever, that is not the angle that they used to review the quality of their movement. It was so that they could show you a baby oil chest, or really show off some really form-fitting, like ass hugging leggings or whatever. Yeah, there is. Well, never mind. I won't hawk her.
Got to show off the thigh meat. My wife always getting after me to get thigh meat shorts.
But that's true, right? Those angles that are there for that presentation are not the same angles that you would use for review.
And earlier when I was talking about my video and for myself, or even when I'm videotaping client, right, it is these kind of hard 90-degree angles, so to speak. It's either
exactly
we're dead on, we're coming from the side, or I'm coming from straight behind. But I'm not doing
it's not this diagonal angle, right, where I can show the maximum flex, or yeah. Yeah, like with a high angled selfie where I'm like, oh, doing my curls. It's not. Those are not the same. Those are not the same. Those things don't have the same purpose behind them.
Right.
So when you see some fitness influencer posting their videos, that is not the video that they used for working out. And I guarantee you that if they posted the videos that they used for working out reference, the bulk of their audience, if they just started doing that, the bulk of their audience would be like, hey, what the fuck? Where's the ass shot? Like, or where's the chest shot? Like, what's the deal? Come on, man. Kind of, it would be, it would be something that would be not as marketable.
Well, there's a guy I was watching even the other day, you're making me think of, and I like his videos. He uses it for correctives. And one of it was a lady. She was doing a particular type of unique side plank with a hip hinge to it. It was for a glute activation exercise, kind of a corrective. And all the comments were like, well, I wonder why he chose this one as his demo video, right? Like, really losing the fact of that, well, you can only show this exercise in so many ways, right? Like, it wasn't some lewd, checking out this woman's ass. It was her client of his doing an exercise and him showing it. But our monkey brains like to get on one track.
Right. The audience that those types of videos get, if the videos all of a sudden switch to what was useful that audience wouldn't be satisfied.
Right.
That's
right.
all I'm saying.
Right.
Now, when you go and get a fitness influencer who posts videos that they use as reference, that's a different audience.
Mm-hmm.
And if they posted the same kind of videos as other people do for presentation, that audience would go, when did this turn into porn? You know,
Yep.
seriously, what the fuck? You just have to remember, angles for review and data collection are different than angles for presentation. They are going to look different. And if you took that camera from that angle of presentation and moved it around to an angle that was actually good for review, everybody has a gut when they're doing an exercise. Everybody's ass looks really wide, or everybody's ass looks really, really funky, or their legs look funky, or whatever. All of these frames of reference all of a sudden take on way different perceptual qualities. And you need to keep that in mind if you're having any judgment about filming yourself. But let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
When we think about how we look in a video, and we start to get that, and like we said, that analysis paralysis, you're like, oh my gosh, look at this. Look at how I look in this. I need to redo this 400 times until I look great. Then that's not the focus. The focus is, what's the quality of the movement?
Well, again, even if we're looking at quality of the movement, right, we can still get into that analysis paralysis. I feel I'm guilty of this myself, especially when I'm doing heavy lifts. We're talking like, maybe 5x5 or, something less than 5 reps in that range. Like, it's easy to like, well, I got a 2-minute rest break. And then the entire time I'm like, trying to look slide by slide or frame by frame of now, where did this all go wrong? And then I'm in my head, okay, what do I need to do? And things of that nature. And to a degree, that's, that is needed. But when it's like, it's been 5 minutes and I've been watching the same 30-second video clip, right? Where is the benefit coming now? Right. And, that's one of the analysis paralysis that I personally can't get hung up on, is like, how do I make this movement better? Or, how do I do this more correctly, and things of that nature.
So we need to keep in mind that it's a tool. Whether or not you are an influencer and all of that, it's a tool. Now, if you're posting a video because you're just running into the gym and you want to post a video so that you can upload a video of an exercise or show off your whatever, that's fine. But it's a tool. And that's all that it is. The other thing to think about is that we don't want it to become a burden. It can't be the focal point. If you are recording a workout to benefit you in your workout, you can't let that become a burden and the primary reason why you are doing whatever it is that you're doing. If your goal is working out, if your goal is working out, do your workout. If you didn't catch a good angle on the camera, or it didn't give you enough data, reposition it and go on for your next set.
Right.
Don't let that mandate the quality of the workout that you are able to turn in.
That cliche of keeping first things first. Right. What's the priority? If the priority is videotaping yourself, then that's the priority. But if the priority is getting in a workout and making sure we're getting an effective workout and that we're doing things in a safe manner, especially if we don't have someone there to watch us and provide critique or provide advice, right? You got to do the next best thing that you have available. But again, like you say, don't let that become bigger than the thing we're there for.
Well, I guess the question is, what do you do with all that? When you see somebody else filming, are they probably doing that to post? Sure. But you don't know that. You don't. And unless they have a crew with a bunch of lighting and all that shit around, you can't make any assumptions about it either.
They get the boom coming.
Right. Yeah. And if that's the case, generally either they or the gym or whatever will John's having technical difficulties. Either they or the gym or whatever will let you know that filming's taking place and all that. But until then, you can't assume. Now this ownership over the space goes two ways. Unless the gym specifically forbids it, people are allowed to film their workouts. And if you don't like it, you don't really have a right to come up to anybody else and say, stop filming.
Right.
By the same token, if you are filming, you don't really own the space that you're in. So if you're walking up to the same set of dumbbells or using the same area as anyone else, and someone, for instance, walks in between you and your camera. We've seen plenty of times where someone walks in between someone and their camera, and the person who's doing the workout will look at the camera, or they'll highlight them, or they'll go and edit it later to go look at this, look at this dickhead or whatever. Seriously. Or they'll say something rude, some kind of altercation will take place or whatever.
Passive aggressive slide.
Right. Yeah. Or I've even seen people jerk. You don't have to walk in front of the camera. And the only proper response to somebody saying something like that to you is fuck you. You don't fucking own the gym. Fuck off. Unless there's some membership tier I'm not aware of, we both paid the same amount to be here. Fuck you.
Well, I've seen it too, where go the much more humane and decent way of the videotaper saying, hey, Joe or Jane, by the way, I'm videotaping this. If you want to be there, it's not an issue. I just want you to know that there's an active recording going on right now. And most people are like, they'll either say, I don't really want to be a part of it, or they say, whatever, this is the machine I wanted to use, so I'm going to use it.
Remember, ownership it's not a private ownership kind of thing. The only people who have any sovereignty in that shared space are the people who own the gym, and they're the ones that make the rules. If they say no filming, don't film. If they don't say no filming, you probably have every right to film unless it's in your contract not to. The thing that's important is to remember just not to get in anybody's face one way or the other. One of the things I wanted to make sure that we mentioned that tends to sort of steer people or make people afraid of filming or being filmed is that when you see those posts, we never see anybody's posts who they've uploaded a video of them in the gym or whatever, that the only people that we see doing that who are fit, or it seems like it's just some kind of commercial for really aggressive motivation or really aggressive positivity. Like didn't feel like it today, and it shows this montage of them fucking sweating, moving, and all kinds of fucking awesome shit. And when they leave, they're like dabbing their face off with a towel or having some kind of energy drink or whatever, and go and push through it. You can get there, or whatever, like whatever it is. I mean, and who knows? You stubbed your fucking toe on the way into the gym and you didn't feel like it. You didn't feel like being positive. You were pissed off because you didn't meet whatever expectations outside in your regular life. The point is that if you're going to use that as a tool, remember, you don't have to be relentlessly motivated and you don't have to be relentlessly positive. Those aren't requirements. Those people that are selling a brand, whether the brand is themselves or some line of clothing, you don't see somebody walk in it's like fitness wear by Monkey Bars, and Monkey Bar clothing is all over the place, and this person's pissed off about having to do their workout, or they fail in a set, or they are having some kind of fucked up form.
You never see anybody in a Coca-Cola commercial looking upset.
Right. Ever. Right?
Even the polar bears are happy.
Right? So just remember that it's a tool. Whoever's using it that is in your field of vision, it's a tool for them as well. It's not something that should hold anyone hostage, including the people who are using it as a tool. We should use filming in the gym or filming in our own private spaces as a way to encourage us to do good things, like really be more not body self-conscious, but body aware, how we are moving or how we are lifting. When we do that, we get ourselves closer to our goals that don't have any fucking thing to do with a stupid fucking camera at all. When you practice using all of your tools, just like when you practice more moving the weight or moving your body, the more that you do it, the better at it you become. Mm-hmm. The more that you can see how it is moving through the world and all around you, like with a third person perspective that the camera offers, the more opportunity you have for adjustment and improvement.
If I may piggyback on that,
please.
It's the more senses one can involve with any new skill. I mean, like our 5 senses, the quicker we can learn and we make these memories, right? And so when we're moving with just in our body, right, and not seeing, if you don't have a mirror or anything, right, we're really devoiding ourselves of one of our 5 senses. We're not seeing ourselves move. We're feeling ourselves. Hell, you probably hear yourself if your knees are popping or cracking, or if you're a grunter, right? You feel the weight on you, sure. You're not necessarily smelling anything that's going to make you change how you're doing it, right? And you're probably not tasting anything, hopefully. But if you can get a camera,
like in the handles of the bar every time you go to do a set.
But again, if we're able to again get yourself a view outside of our noggins, mm-hmm. We talk about when we're trying to like feel a muscle work, get clients to actually touch like the muscle they're trying to activate. Or again, if I'm working with them, we'll either like I'll poke them with a stick or I'll poke them with my finger, and it's like, do you feel your lat working when they're rowing, or if they're pulling their shoulder blades together? Like I'll even facilitate like a little squeeze of the shoulder blades when they're mm-hmm. trying to retract their shoulder blades. All these things mm-hmm. are again to try to create tactile sense so they can connect to the movement in a way that they're having difficulties by just through their mind. Videotape you brought up is a huge tool that can help with this.
You just brought up something that we really need to call to mind. We mentioned it sort of in general fashion, but you do get better with filming, just like you do get better with your exercises. And you need to understand that if you can't quite see where compensation is happening or where some kind of deficit is occurring, then it might be that you're not filming it from the angle that would reveal it. And you might not get the correct angle in a single workout. You're filming it from the sides and the front, but you don't film it from the back until the next time you work that body part, the next time you do that corrective exercise, and it's only then that it gets revealed. It's something that you have to grow into familiarity with. And keep in mind, after every episode of this podcast, or at the close of every episode of this podcast, John always says,
stay mindful as fuck.
Right. And I always say, and don't compensate. Both of those things are fucking impossible to do all the time, right? You can't stay mindful as fuck all the time. You can't always avoid the compensations that you're going to activate or utilize. You can't always avoid those things. When you can video them, they become apparent. And then it enables you to have that much more awareness and to avoid that many more compensations. Keep it in mind, and don't judge other people who are videoing. If they're doing it as a tool, trying to grow their brand, or they're trying to grow their awareness. Don't judge yourself if you want to start utilizing it. You don't have to be a member of a club. You don't have to be a fucking influencer to do it. It is a great tool for you to use to improve how you perform. So just remember, you don't need a membership somewhere to start filming. We all have access to it. If you have access to it, utilize it as a tool. In the meantime,
stay mindful as fuck.
And don't compensate. We'll see you next time. Sir John.
Take care.